There's something about having tea on a tray that just makes it taste a little bit better. Did you guys know that Target sells little Cheesecake Factory cheesecakes? I know, right? With my tea, I'm gonna plug away some more at Demons. So it is currently July 14th. I was a little late with my June reading wrap up, so I only just got it up this week. But I'm about halfway through Demons. So I have, how many weeks? 2.5 weeks to get through another 350 pages. I think we can do it, don't you? Look at this. Dostoevsky is constantly doing this. I will allow myself some comments by way of clarification. He's constantly like, well, I know I should be getting on with the story, but I think that instead I'll just, you know... Wait, there was another one. Where was it? It's a pity. The story must move more quickly. I know I've got to get on with this. There's no time for descriptions, but I have to say a few words. There was no doing without anecdotes. Dostoevsky can't resist the anecdotes. We're just over 300 pages in, and everyone is finally acting like they actually are possessed by demons. This work is often translated as the possessed. A big theme of Demons is you have the old Russian liberals and then the new Russian liberals. And the new Russian liberals are like taking things to these kind of ridiculous extremes. At the beginning of the book, we met Stepovomich. The names, guys, they're really difficult. Stepan Trofimovich. He's not a very likable character when you first get to know them, but then later you meet like Peter, his son, and Peter's even worse, so you're like, okay, actually I kind of like Stepan now. Dostoevsky's characters, while they're very interesting and deep characters, are never like especially likable characters, typically. Like, I kind of like Krylov actually, but he's the mad one, of course. You know how in Shakespeare they always have like a list of like characters at the beginning? I kind of wish they would do that, like have a little character map. I suppose there are so many characters that it would probably be an extremely long and complicated character list, but there should be one. I should look it up online. Maybe there is one already. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this guy. He just threw Shatov under the bus, and I have a feeling things are only gonna get worse. I always have this difficulty with thick books like this. It's like I don't want to bend the spine, but at the same time, when you're in the middle of the book, how are you supposed to read it without bending the spine at least a little bit, you know? Alright friends, which mug should we use today? All the cute mugs. This one is one of my favorites. It's from Anthropology. It's a Liberty print. The only problem is you're not supposed to put it in the microwave, and as you can see, I accidentally forgot and put it in the microwave once, but I do love this one. And then we have to pick a teapot. This one is definitely a Mitsukoshi teapot. It's by that Shinzi Kato brand that they sell a lot of in the Mitsukoshi at Epcot. We're gonna go with Red Riding Hood today. I like how her cup is built in. Let me put that on for the lid. And my favorite tea at the moment is the Scottish breakfast leaf tea. It's so good. Does anybody else collect bookstore bags? This one's from Heffer's in Cambridge. I love using them to carry around my books. So today I've been reading Demons, of course, and The Long Loneliness by Dorothy Day. And look at this. Look who shows up right in the introduction. Here it is. I will begin with my own story. All my life I have been haunted by God, Krylov said. It's our friend Krylov from Demons. I brought my Dorothy Day out to read in the sunshine. Look, she loves Dostoevsky and mentions him a lot. This quote in particular made me laugh. I'm reading Dostoevsky, and last night I stayed up late, and this morning I had to get up early, and I felt that my soul is like lead. Dostoevsky can do that to you sometimes. I've really been loving this book so far, though, and it's so cool to get to know Dorothy Day, and I love just how she's always wanted to help people, like, you know, from her earliest days. And her sympathy for others is so beautiful, and how she talks about, like, when she was in prison, she kind of felt as if she was every prison inmate, and why are some people punished and others not? This scene made me laugh. This man who hates James Joyce, one time they're riding the L together, and she had a copy of Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. He took it from her hands and threw it out the window of the train. I'm not much of a fan of Joyce, but I guess I don't dislike him that much. I am definitely in danger of getting carried away by the long loneliness and just forgetting to finish Demons. That's always the danger of reading 2 books at once, is that if one sweeps you away, the other kind of gets forgotten. But at the same time, I love reading multiple books at once because you do find these connections. Like in The Long Loneliness, Dorothy Day quoting Krylov. She is such a great reader, and she is constantly talking about books and bringing them into the story of her life. She talks about how when she was coming to the Catholic faith and realizing that she wanted to convert and become a Catholic, that she had read the life of Saint Teresa of Avila and fallen in love with her. Same Dorothy, although I didn't read her autobiography. I read The Interior Castle, which I know I've mentioned before, and I just absolutely love. But anyway, she says that Saint Teresa of Avila was a mystic and a practical woman, a recluse and a traveler, a cloistered nun, and yet most active. Once when she was traveling from one part of Spain to another with some other nuns and a priest to start a convent, and their way took them over a stream, she was thrown from her donkey. The story goes that our Lord said to her, "This is how I treat my friends." And she replied, "And that is why you have so few of them." I love how St. Teresa of Avila can see things with humor, and like, she's so close to God that when she's talking to him, like, she can talk to him with humor. I've just started on Elizabeth and her German garden. How gorgeous is this edition? It's the Penguin English Library. The only problem is the spine is so slim, and it's the spines that are so much fun, although the cover is also gorgeous. But gosh, even in just the first couple of pages, I'm like already in love and already like marking things. I love this passage here. It is such a pretty old place that the people who might have lived here and did not, deliberately preferring the horrors of a flat in a town, must have belonged to that vast number of eyeless and earless persons of whom the world seems chiefly composed. Although you later find out that actually she is the person who preferred the flat in town for the first couple of years, and then one day she came to visit this kind of country house that they had and just fell in love with it, and the garden was all overgrown, but she kind of dedicated herself to bringing the garden back to life. So this right here is my quote collection notebook. I've been keeping all of my favorite quotes in here from lots of different books. As you can see, Elizabeth and her German garden already has 2 pages. Long Loneliness, I'm sure I will fill up this second page. And, Green Dolphin Street. Actually, I could have filled the entire book with quotes from Green Dolphin Street, but I did restrain myself. But yes, The Poet and Lunatic. See, I started Demons so long ago that its page is kind of far back here. This one was from the meeting and made me laugh. "No one is taking away your right to speak. You are simply being invited to stop maundering because no one can understand you." The whole meeting they had, that was a couple hundred pages ago. Hold on, here it is. With our people, like, this entire meeting was so funny in so many ways, like the ways they were arguing, and they were like also self-important. This one poor student was trying to say something and no one was really listening, and he wasn't making any sense. So he says, "I was unable to finish my thought. It's not from having no thoughts, but rather from an excess of thoughts." Nikolai, one of the main characters, I really don't like him, and I don't get why everyone else likes him, and like all the girls are ready to go to him like as soon as he snaps his fingers, and like I don't get it though. Yeah, I disliked him at the beginning, and I dislike him more and more and more as the book goes on. I mean, Pyotr Stepanovich is a snake, and you kind of knew that from the beginning, and he just becomes more snaky and more icky as the time goes on. But Nikolai, you feel like you could have expected something better from. And somehow that makes him much worse than Pyotr. Yes, but all the characters now are hastening to doubtless bad ends. So I've been rearranging my shelf decorations, and I came across this little book the other day. I actually bought this in the Lake District when we were there a couple of years ago, and it's so charming. Like, every single fold out is adorable. Dove Cottage, that's where Wordsworth lived. Ullswater, Guildhall, like, they're just all so pretty, so it's fun to have them all kind of spread out like that. And the cool thing is that when you turn them around, you have a whole different series. There is Beatrix Potter's Hilltop. Oh Oh, doesn't that look charming? I really kind of like this sketchy style of illustration. Nina Cosford is the illustrator. You guys, I just placed a book depository order. I couldn't resist. Some of these books are like $6. These Penguin English Libraries. That looks awesome. This, how cute does Peter Pan look? Also got another Mary Stuart, although I know it will not be this cover. It will be a cover more like this or this. It does kind of bother me that Book Depository still hasn't changed out the images on their website. So these are the old style of covers, and then this is the new style, but they only stock the new style. At least that's what I found, because when I ordered at least one or two of these, the picture on the website was different from this. And luckily I do like this style. I guess they do have the exact same ISBN as the old cover, but still, I wish they would just, you know, update the images, then you would know exactly what you're getting. Well, friends, I am extremely proud to report that I did finish Demons, and it isn't even the last of the month, so I still have a couple days to spare. Getting through the last couple hundred pages was definitely a challenge because there's like a big denouement. Everything kind of falls apart, but there are so many characters that it takes a while for everything to fall apart for everyone. So, but I pushed through, and of course I did really enjoy it. Such beautiful, insightful writing, and really interesting to read. And considering Russia's history, you know, what happened after Dostoevsky wrote this and after he died, definitely kind of prophetic and definitely still relevant in the world today. I did really love this one passage towards the end. It was this one right here. Our friend Stepan Trofimovich. The whole law of human existence consists in nothing other than a man's always being able to bow before the immeasurably great. If people are deprived of the immeasurably great, they will not live and will die in despair. It was so interesting to read this concurrently with The Long Loneliness by Dorothy Day, and I also just finished this one. And of course, Dorothy Day does quote Dostoevsky, but there was one passage that was that same idea. People have so great a need to reverence, to worship, to adore. It is a psychological necessity of human nature that must be taken into account. In Demons in particular, this is a really big theme of kind of what the consequences are of these young atheistic, nihilistic radicals who don't believe in anything and are kind of trying to destroy everything. Other human beings and the world do, of course, often let us down, but having something to believe in and hold on to is really central to kind of staying sane, even if it seems insane to hold such a belief. Like, I feel like with Krylov, that's kind of what he is grappling with. Definitely very glad I picked this up and stuck with it through the end, but also glad to be done with it and glad to move on to some more, to some slightly cozier and more cheerful books. I almost don't want to finish this, Elizabeth and Her German Garden. It's so short, and I'm already like, I don't know, 70 pages into it, so I'm getting near the end. It is just as charming as I hoped it would be. So many cool passages and so many beautiful descriptions of her garden. I love how she's a new gardener, so she makes lots of mistakes. She's trying to figure everything out, and she's so kind of honest and down to earth. I would love to be more of a gardener and to know more about gardening and flowers and plants. So it's fun to read her kind of struggles as a newcomer. I bought some freesia bulbs earlier this year and planted them, and they shot up really beautifully. Like, they came up really nice and tall, and I don't know if I watered them too much or didn't water them enough, but somehow they just kind of dried out and became all yellow and never flowered. That made me sad. But Elizabeth von Arnim is inspiring me. I'm gonna have to try again with some other flowers. How charming is this quote here? She's reading a kind of heavy book and says, "I took it out with me into the garden because the dullest book takes on a certain saving grace if read out of doors." Well, friends, I have finished Elizabeth and Her German Garden, and it's been just as charming as I expected. There isn't really a story to it, which, because of the length, I didn't really expect there to be a story to it, but I did think it was a little odd. Like, there were a couple times when she kind of introduced you to characters, like her husband, she calls the Man of Wrath, and she had some house guests, and like she would, you know, kind of give you a glimpse of who they are. And I felt with the conversation she was kind of starting to build up more of a plot, but like, obviously she then kind of just left off. Like, she was describing a wintertime sleigh ride, which sounded so beautiful and charming. But then the next diary entry, which is like the last one, was in April, and she says, "Oh, I was so busy I didn't have time to write." And then of course the book kind of leaves off. I'm gonna have to look up who the author was and what her story was, because you get like a little glimpse of who she is in her story, but not the full picture. I hope you guys have been enjoying the new vlog format. I thought it'd be fun to try something different. I've been doing reading wrap-ups on my channel for a long time. I do them every month, and I don't think I really missed a month for the past like 1, 2, maybe even 3 years. I usually do the like sit down in front of the camera with the stack of books format, and that's fine. It was just starting to feel a little bit stale to me, so I thought it'd be fun to mix it up. So many of the booktubers I love to rewatch have been doing, you know, different vlogs, so I thought it'd be fun to give it a try. I started editing the vlog, so it'll be ready to go up before July is too far past, but I was realizing that it is kind of hodgepodge because I do like to skip around between different books, and I like to, you know, read multiple things at once. I think it's more fun that way because you have things like, you know, Dorothy Day and Dostoevsky, and you find these connections that you might not have noticed if you hadn't been reading them at the same time. I don't think I summed up Dorothy Day's Long Loneliness for you guys, but I really enjoyed that book. It's just so inspiring to hear Dorothy Day's story, and oh my gosh, all of the things she did, the hospitality houses they set up, the farms they set up, just like all the work she was doing. Of course, the paper that they ran. The title took a turn that I didn't quite expect because there's so much activity in Dorothy Day's life that there isn't really much loneliness, but she kind of addresses that. She says that the long loneliness is present for everyone, and she has experienced, you know, these times of loneliness in her life, but the answer, kind of the cure of that loneliness, is community and is caring for others, which is of course what she really dedicated her life to. So these are the 2 new books I'm planning to start next. I feel like I showed this before. I can't remember if it was here on YouTube or on Instagram, but I got it a little while ago. I'd been eyeing it for quite a long time. This copy is just so beautiful. I love the peacock and the kind of script there. I was at Barnes & Noble one day and I had a coupon burning a hole in my pocket, so I just got it, but I haven't really properly broken it in yet. Flannery O'Connor can definitely be darker in tone. Her characters, you always see all their foibles and shortcomings, but then again, they often surprise you with these kind of flashes of faith and brilliance. And then I have this lovely Penguin English Library copy of Oliver Twist that I'm also going to be breaking in. I love these spines. They're just the best. I'm already like 50 or 60 pages into it. The last time I picked up a Charles Dickens, I don't know why, I just couldn't get into it. Like, I just didn't feel like continuing with the story. Isn't that a mysterious thing? There are some books that you just can't pick down, and at the end of every chapter you're like, oh, I'll read another chapter, I have time. And then there are other books that you just don't feel motivated. And of course, sometimes the same book at 2 different times can make you feel completely different. The back of the book says, dark, mysterious, and mordantly funny, Oliver Twist features some of the most memorably drawn villains in all of fiction. It is very, very sarcastic, but definitely in a dark way, because the people are so horrible. Oliver Twist is of course a famous story of an orphan, and the people in his parish, like, who are supposed to be caring for him and in the workhouse, are like the worst. So that when he runs away and like gets in with a gang of thieves, you're almost like, oh, well, at least these people will be better. But definitely excellent writing and some passages that I've already marked. There is a drowsy, heavy state between sleeping and waking when you dream more in 5 minutes with your eyes half open and yourself half conscious of everything than you would in 5 nights with your eyes closed. I like the way this passage ends, though. At such times, a mortal knows just enough of what his mind is doing to form some glimmering conception of its mighty powers, its bounding from earth and spurning time and space, when freed from the irksome restraint of its corporeal associate. But I thought in addition to the books, I would sneak in here a little bit of a stationery haul. Over on my Patreon page, I do a poll every other week where I let my patrons decide what video I'm gonna make, and this past week, the Tonga Club Tour went out, so that video will have already gone up. But another one of the options was a stationery haul. And I did get a couple votes, so I thought it'd be fun to sneak it in here. I went to a paper source recently, and they always have such gorgeous stuff. So the most exciting thing that I wanted to show you guys, and I had never even seen these before, was this wreath. See, I already took all the flowers apart because I'm starting to build it. But they had a whole bunch of these gorgeous paper flower wreaths that you can make. This one is the Garden Blooms one. As you can see, I've kind of started getting the flowers together. Yes, they give you all the materials that you need. I stood there for like 10 minutes just trying to decide which one because they were all incredibly beautiful. But I also found some adorable washi tape in different super cute tropical colors. This one has palm trees. Amazing. Also couldn't resist a new Rifle Paper Company notepad. I just love these so much. And then this I actually found at the Vera Bradley outlet because this is some Vera Bradley stationery. Look at how pretty these are though. I love the different pattern on the cover, and then the pages have this beautiful soft blue lining, and it's just so pretty, like when you look at it from the top there. Yes, lots of pretty stationery and books to see me into August.